Party, it's Tali in Scottsdale, Planet Heart Garden. I have a really important video for you about the jujubes. I was warned by so many online videos not to plant jujubes because they have such an invasive rootstock that will go underground and just pop up in other places in your yard. And I saw this at a time when I was obsessed with my Indian Jujube, and it gave me no problems. I had planted it initially, I don't know, like 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and with my daughter. We dug late at night. It was an adventure. It was really fun. We dug all day and into the night and used the phones for a flashlight. And it fruits now for 5 months for the main crop and then a few other crops. And when it's over, I'm sad. But initially, I only had twice that it sent something from below the graft. It was like right next to the main stalk. And right now we're not looking at the Indian Jujube, we're looking at my honey jar Jujube. But my point was that 2 times in my Jujube's life, it sent out something, in my Indian Jujube's life, it sent something from below the graft. It looked clearly wrong. It shot straight up, and I cut it right away, never did it again. So I thought, no way. Or I thought maybe it has to do with the specific rootstock that you get. So I went around and to different nurseries and just wanted more Jujube varieties because I wanted to extend the season so that I'll have more Jujubes. And I just was no longer worried about having invasive rootstock. So I got this honey jar, and it's been in the ground 1.5 years. Delicious, and I finally trimmed it this winter just a few months ago. So wait, I shouldn't say 1.5 years, it's 2.5 years ago. So I bought it, I put it in the ground 2.5 years ago. It fruited right away within a few months. The first season fruits were delicious, and then the following year the fruits were amazing again. I thought, wow, what a great tree. And then I realized it's really hard to climb it because it's pokier, and it's hard to bring a ladder all the way to here, and I didn't want to start falling over these rocks and over the pokey stuff. So I trimmed it this winter for the first time ever, and suddenly it's sending out something, not from below some kind of rootstock, graft, not from below the graft. It's actually truly sending something from the side here. So my theory is that it was mad at me for trimming it. I'm gonna have to prune it down really deep, and you're supposed to kind of really dig under and sever it, or it'll just pop right back up. So I need to do that off camera. And then it gets worse. This is my work this morning as I brought my cemetery soil. I have to keep going. I had to pause so I can put the groceries away. It's my life in between, also mom on wheels stuff. But anyway, here is the other cultivar. This one doesn't taste that great until it's super ripe. And I can't remember the name of it because the name blew away. But I do remember that the seller kept trying to convince me not to buy it. And I trimmed this one this winter as well, first time ever. This one has been really stubborn. I'm always giving it haircuts, and it just goes right back. But here's what's crazy. I found a jujube growing under my ceylon gooseberry. By the way, notice all the cute growth here. Do you see the new growth on my ceylon gooseberry? Look how healthy. Anyway, I was just kind of enjoying the new growth, and I found jujubes growing here. And I shouldn't have just pulled them out. I should have dug under. That means there must be some roots growing under the ground. So my new theory is that this tree, after 2.5 years also of being in the ground, finally decided to extend out maybe as a reaction to my pruning it. Maybe the solution is to let it grow really tall, like I did with the other one. So let's go show you the Indian Jujube love of my life. I did have to trim it the most ever because it was, look how crazy tall it is now. There's a long story to how it got this shape. It wasn't my choice. Should I tell you the story? Okay, initially the tree kept looking for the light going this way, and I had a gardener. He said, "Do you trust me?" And I felt guilty to say anything but yes. I mean, I didn't even have time to think about it. It's an instinct. I said yes. So he thought he could just trim the main trunk that was going in the direction I wanted, and then make the tree, like pull the tree using some device and to pull it. And that never, the tree didn't agree with it. So by trimming the main trunk that was going in this way straight up, it made the tree want to go only towards the street, always towards the street. And then if you don't cut the jujube like all the way by the trunk, it'll just continue to grow in that direction, and it became like a hedge. And then it started looking really pretty because it gave people shade. But then with the fruit, it got really heavy. So the HOA wanted me to keep it 8 feet above people's heads here and like 13 to 14 feet above the sidewalk. And I would have done that, but I didn't have time to start measuring. The gardener came to help me because I have a saw, but he could work faster than me. And it's kind of a little less pretty the way it looks, but this tree is forgiving. Anyway, so now it looks like this, and we just went more aggressively than usual. So let's see if it'll suddenly send shoots, but it really has not done that. It has not been invasive at all after the first two. So the Indian Jujube still has delicious dried fruit on it since November. Look at that. Evergreen tree never gave me the real problems of invasive roots, and I don't know if it's because I didn't really trim it until recently. I'm not sure, or maybe it's just more thoughtful that way. It's an amazing tree. I do think I need to trim it more because it will get really, really hard to, collect the fruits that are that high up, and I don't need them to be that high up. So Indian Jujube is a good tree. Just gonna review about the invasive. That one gave me no problems. This one, that is, maybe it's the Shangxili. The fruits are like little tiny apples, so they're not elongated, and they only get they're only edible once it's super brown, and before that it's very, very dense. I can't remember if it's a Lang or what. It's not the Lee. No, I think it might be a Shangxili. I need to ask the nursery. You guys, I don't know. I'll show you when it's ripe and you can help me. But this one is crazy underneath. That one is the invasive one. So make sure when you buy a jujube that you don't get the kind that's only yummy when it's super ripe, and it's dense and hard and dry if you try to eat it ahead of time. And this one's been fine. Delicious honey jar jujube. Really crispy, tiny, small fruits. But here's its first invasive attempt. And hopefully I'm not going to start seeing them on the inside of my yard. Anyway, thanks you guys.